So, John, we're so happy to have you here today. Would you just begin a bit by telling us about yourself?
Yeah, my name is John Herrlin, and I work as a software architect and a software developer at Fort Knox. And on the side, I have a small business where I help customers with software projects too. I am born and raised in Vecua, and I was abroad for a little while, and then I moved back to start studying at LNU. And during my time there, I started a student union called Kollektivet. Yeah, and then after university, me and Johan have done some meetups. It's a meetup called Vecua Functional Programming, where we focus on a specific parts in software development, and besides that, we're doing a book circle for IT related books. So we meet once a week and discuss the pages that we have read, and it's amazing. Wow, what insights we get from that.
I can only imagine. Yeah, that sounds super duper interesting. Johan, would you like to tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm the founder and CEO of 111 Solutions. I do a bit of software development, lots of software development. And I currently at the same company as John. So I work at Fort Knox, and on the side I develop my own products as well. So I'm working on that at the moment.
Brilliant. So did you guys meet at Fort Knox, or did you know each other even before that?
No, I think we met
through the meetup.
Through the meetup.
Through the meetup. Yes.
Yeah. Johan had the meetup group, the Vecua Functional Programming. So we started collaborating on that.
Exactly.
Perfect.
It's been
awesome.
Great.
Yeah, I can see that so clearly. But John, if we start a bit with you, did you always know that you were going to be an entrepreneur, or development was your thing?
No, I think it just came naturally. The banana shell, I guess. I somehow slipped into it, and it felt natural, and it keeps on going.
Brilliant. And when did the entrepreneurial bug bite you, Johan?
I think it was by coincidence in gymnasiet, where we actually sort of we constructed a ung företagsamhets company. We sort of by chance, we didn't get a phone book that year, so we started. I started talking with a friend, and we should do this. So okay, yeah, let's do it. So that was a journey, and from that time, I believe that sort of started. I always wanted to do something myself, construct products different ways. So when I went into software development, that was a natural fit for me. I get to be creative, constructing software development, software programs, basically. So that's been awesome.
Perfect. And did you have like family who was into this thing and you got inspired, or were you the unique one of the family?
There aren't. Well, my father in his late years became like ran his own company, but my father was a carpenter, so he created things through that. So I think the creation part is sort of from my father in that case.
Wow.
My mother worked at Almi for a long time, so she always talked about companies and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it was in the family.
Yeah. So yeah, part of it at least.
Awesome.
She advised the company. Yeah.
Brilliant. And how did you get inspired to start in this field, John?
After the gymnasium, a friend said, "Oh, let's study computers," and I had really no ideas of what that actually was. But I said, "Yeah, okay, I joined you, and that was my beginning. The journey started there, and then I mostly got obsessed, I guess.
Yeah, so that it stuck, and it's always nice to see from the beginning what is it that you want to do in your life. So it's good to know really from the beginning. There aren't many people who know that what is it that they want to do with their lives.
No, I feel very happy that I found this field.
You found your passion. That's cool.
Yeah.
Super cool. So what are you guys doing today? Johan, if you'd like to start a bit.
So, like I said before, it's I do co-organize the meetup with John, and also run my own company, and that's mostly on consultant basis at the moment. But I've started working on a product that we hope to get off the ground pretty soon. So sometimes next year, hopefully.
Right, but it's taking shape already. Your project.
Yeah, there's a bit of research in order to get it off the ground. It's a field that we're not all that familiar with, so some market analysis needs to be done, and those kind of things. Speak with potential customers and that journey before we actually make something of it. So, but yeah, I look forward to the creative part where I get the code.
Yeah. There's so much more that goes in before the actual coding part takes place.
Yes.
And John, what are you doing apart from Fort Knox?
It's a lot of reading, and I have a small company where I have a single customer, and I develop a product for them and maintain and run it. So yeah, I build it pretty solid actually. It's not a lot of bugs, so I don't need to spend a lot of time on that. They request some updates every year, and yeah.
Awesome. So the topic for today is communities. So let's just dive straight into that. So John, if you could just tell us a bit about what you started with the university, which was the thing that you started with the university. The code collective.
Code collective. Yeah.
So the name is in Swedish, so it's kind of difficult to pronounce.
And actually, I think the majority of the members in Code Collective are international students. So I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't think they understand the name. But I felt a little bit of, I think, frustration at university, because I felt very passionate about it, and I saw that the market really needed a lot of developers. So why didn't we see any presence of the companies at around the university? Why wasn't we invited to get free lunch and beer, and they would show us all of their nice technology? So that was the reason why I started Code Collective.
And how was your experience there?
It was really good. All of the companies that I talked to was very passionate about meeting the students, because as I didn't saw their present, many of the companies had a problem to reach out to find the students. So there was this gap, and the Code Collective, it became a natural bridge. And it's been going on since then. We started Code Collective in 2015, and it's now I think it will expand to Kalmar soon too. So it's growing and growing.
Brilliant. That's very interesting to know. We're going to talk more about it, but we can, Johan, if you could share a bit about your experience with communities and why do you think they're important?
Sure. Well, I got started with Meetup communities when I was in Stockholm and that was something new, something that was brand new. I went to a couple of different community events, and well, I ended up mostly at the software development events after a while. So, but I think the fantastic thing with that is that you get knowledge from different people. They gladly share the knowledge with you on these events, and also you get to meet people who are in the same business, talk to them, share your problems, share your ideas, and all those kind of things. And after a while, you actually find out that people usually have the same problems after in their day-to-day work, basically. So it's a good way to expand your knowledge, push yourself a bit, and meet people who are willing to do the same thing, basically. And so school will teach us the basic that we need to know, but we are after school, we ourselves, you need to motivate yourself in order to continue your growing experience, basically. And meetups and communities are a fantastic way to do just that. Share your knowledge with other people, and help them evolve, basically, and help yourself evolve. Because when you share your experience, you grow as well. Because during that conversation, you probably find a new way of looking at things. That usually happens to me, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. This is exactly how it happens. John, would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And as I stated in my intro there, I think the best insights is you get when you interact with people, because they're always a different angle to things, and somebody have read something more, and you can it's fantastic.
I can only agree.
Yeah, definitely is. But when we talk about communities, John, in your experience, what was your highest point, or if you'd just like to share your lowest point, or any learning from, because you've been involved in a lot of different communities in your life. So what experience would you like to share with our audience here today?
I think my highs have been within the book circle, and that's because I think that people are reading the same thing. They have more or less the same passion in the field, and so different levels of experience. So the environment is so dynamic. We have an hour every week, and it's almost every time we need a little bit more time just to finish the sentences. And that's my highs. My lows are sometimes when I think it's in some communities there is a lot of, they need the attendance in the community need to consume. They are not so very engaged, and that is mainly from my student life. But on the other side, like your main priorities as a student should be school. So to do hackathons and do workshops can be a lot of planning, but it doesn't turn out very well because people don't have the energy to focus on those parts. But it's natural, and I think they prioritize right. So
yeah, that's interesting, because now with the digital era, there are so many things that are kind of being bombarded at you at the same time that it's very important to prioritize, particularly in the student life.
And
Awesome.
and in those, for those communities, you need to create something that is easy to consume, and they still get something out of it. They can get a network, they can get some free lunch if they are poor students, or a beer, and have a good time in that community then.
Yeah, exactly. And what learnings would you like to share with our audience today, Johan?
Well, I think that so you can have these communities at totally different levels, basically. You can have a community, say that you have a startup community, for example. You could basically have it on a shifting level, the presentations, basically. because the one week one could be interested in learning, oh, how do I actually start my company, for example. So you can have those kind of presentations as well. And then you can have a more advanced presentation where you basically go through, okay, yeah, this is how you should structure your board, or other more advanced information, basically. So it should be open to anyone. And those are I think those are the best communities, because then you can have the best conversations, basically, because you can you can be on any level, basically. So and also that's open up for new people to join more easily as well, when you do not lock down to a certain level of experience, basically. So so be inclusive, basically. So, and those are the best things. I met lots of good friends through communities, basically. In Stockholm, it was fantastic. It was one of the best ways to meet new people, for example. So if you live in a big city, join the meetups and those communities. It's the best thing for it, because especially if you're new. So,
brilliant advice. And you've touched on a very important issue here, Johan, that is inclusiveness. So when we talk about Swedish communities, you've worked in a big city, you've worked in a small, medium-sized city as well. So how inclusive, how diverse do you think, how gender balanced do you think a developers community is?
It could be better. That's my experience of it. So I think it's easier in a large city, because the open-mindedness is on a different level when you're in a big city, basically. So when you come to smaller places, they kind of stuck to their way of doing things, because they have done that and it works for them, sort of. So bringing that open-mindedness with these communities, for example, would help, actually, to get people out of their shells, basically, to bring them to the next level. So, and this is very important. That's why I wanted to start a meetup when I moved back to Vecua, for example. It was very important, but I also realized that the people sort of, they need to be comfortable that the meetup is there. So you need to have like a long-term plan. You can't really expect to have like 25 people coming to the first event and just coming to the next event. Basically, you have to stick it out for a bit, because you need to make sure that people know it's there, so they can come. So if you're planning on starting a community in a smaller place like Vecua, for example, you need to have tenacity in order, or like to keep it going, basically. If one shows up, that's great. Just keep it going, because next time two might show up, actually. So and just keep the conversation going, basically, and interact. Because if you're a small community, you have potential to have really good friends with those people that actually show up. So and just keep it going. That's the best thing. So I think even in Stockholm, for example, there are a lot of meetups that start up, and they host a couple of events, and then they just die down, basically. So and it's really sad to see. So, but you need, in a small place, you need tenacity. In a larger area, you can probably get away with it.
Awesome. So you had some great keeping them alive. John, how do you think you can keep a developers? Or maybe you can start by giving us a little bit of an insight of what does a developer community look like? Give us a peek into a community for an outsider when they walk in for the first time into one of the communities that you've created. How they expect, what kind of topics are there? So walk us through it, please.
I mean, from the student union side, I guess it was when the student joined Code Collective to come to some of our events. I think we all had a common ground. There was already an icebreaker possible. You could talk about the workshop that we did, or the talk. It was very easy to interact with people. So, what was the question again, Mehkar?
Let's say some topics that you have. What kind of things can we expect in a developer community?
Yeah, and I think all of these three, like the student union, I can include another community, the open source community, and those non-local communities where you interact with people around open source projects. And I think that like those three distinct a lot. The student union are maybe for interaction and creating a network. The book circle is very share insights and discuss with each other and gain knowledge. And the meetups are maybe very similar to the student union, because you interact, have fun, and you maybe look at the presentation or do a workshop. And the open source community side is very engaging. You're really trying to solve problems to make your project better, and or get more ground, or get more people to use the code.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And would you agree, Johan?
Yeah.
Would you like to add something?
I would
to it?
very much agree. Well, I think that usually when you go to these kind of events, it's because something, a topic interests you in the beginning. So that's usually how it ends up. And then you probably go there because you see friends and you like the other people who are there. So, but like I said in the beginning, it's for increasing your own knowledge, basically. It is not for everyone. Not everyone likes it, but I think that everyone would definitely, benefit from it, from expanding your curiosity, basically. But so, and especially for entrepreneurs, that you usually have a drive in order to create new things, start new companies and all those kind of things. So the curiosity is already there, and inside of the developer community, you have the same curiosity from certain people. Some people are very curious by nature. As a software developer, you're very curious, and we solve problem basically every day. That's what we do. That's
heroes.
That's what
superheroes.
Well, yeah, superheroes.
Yeah, you just need a cape.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we have hoodies instead. So it becomes like the curiosity becomes like second nature for us, I think. And of course, there are people who maybe not that curious, but like to do things the old-fashioned way. But and those people you will never attract to meetups, basically. But you should show them that they're there. So maybe it might spark just that curiosity again. Yeah, and
so, that is so important to have the kind of communities that can spark their curiosity. So taking that forward to you, John, when you start up a community and you have some interest, some engagement, people are coming to showing up, how do you make sure that they keep coming? How do you keep the community alive?
Yeah, I think that try to have fun, and I think you get the feeling after you have done a couple of events. Do we having fun? Are we? I think you feel it pretty soon, and if you feel that something is a little bit off or something is different, then you like, okay, what are we doing? Then maybe you should change. But I think if people are having fun and they get something out of it, I think it will just keep on going by itself. And just like Johan said, I mean, sometimes you prepared allowed, and one person showed up, but that's then it's just to keep on going. It's maybe it was a bad time that week, or
and or it
Strike.
also depends a lot about what stakeholders are there and what role they are playing in the communities. Johan, if you could share your thoughts on who are the most important stakeholders when it comes to communities and making them thrive.
Well, so that's a broad topic. I would say that, well, the basic stakeholder is that the ones who have like a very urge to do this. So like John and me, for example, we want to form a community. We want to get other people to be interested in the things that interest us, basically. So we try to find interesting speakers in the realm of functional programming, basically, because both me and John are enthusiastic about functional programming. So that's how it starts, basically. So, but a community you could form a community around anything, basically. If you have an interest, if you have a passion about something, you can start a community around that. If you're passionate about startups, for example, you can form Startup Grind, for example. So and that becomes a thing. So and that becomes like a global community in itself. But you can have a passion for startups in Vecua, for example. And if you start a community there, then go for it. Other people will probably want to join that community if they have the same passion. They want to know what's so fun in this community, basically, and they will come. They will come. Show them that it's there, and they will come. Like I said, just if you have a passion for it, go ahead, try it out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But at least you tried.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's the most important thing.
When me and Johan found it.
What role does the city play in this?
Right. So that's an interesting part. If you take the politician, for example, so they sit in a 4-year cycle, basically. So it's very dangerous for them to be like the driving force behind it, I would say. It should always be the ones that have a very good passion for it, basically. But the community, the supporting network they can bring to support these communities are massive, basically. That's the thing. But they should support the community. They should not run the communities, basically, because that needs to be run by the passionate people. So you need to have the ones who are passionate about it, have them run it. If you are a politician and you see that, oh, cool, this is here. I did not know that. This we should go and support in some way.
Yeah.
And the same thing would happen. Same thing, university, basically, Kollektivet, for example. The university should have. I don't know if they pushed in like a support behind it, but they should in that case, because this is bringing it to the next level. This is bringing Vecua to the next level, for example. If you can do that. So support your communities, and the same goes for companies. Companies are super important to support your developer communities. For example, if you develop software, it would be the obvious thing. Where do you find your next employees? Maybe probably in a developer community or something like that. You want those developers because they have a passion to keep on learning, and those are the developers that you really want. Those are the developers that you want to find.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I think we have John, the internet connection. There's something here with it. But can you see John? Because I can't see him anymore.
Yeah, I can see John.
John, do you hear me?
I hear you. I hear you.
Because I think I can't hear John.
But you hear me, Johan?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
I think,
No,
Mecca,
first-
you're moving in and out a bit, so it might be your connection,
Oh,
actually.
it could be that. It could be that. It's just not a very good connection day today for some reason. But I'm sorry, John. I'm just going to wait a little bit more till I can hear you. I'm going to switch the network as well. But in the meanwhile, Johan, if you could tell me a little bit more about the difference between a developer and a startup community. Do they look the same? What's the difference in your opinion?
I think the main difference is basically what you talk about on your meetups, basically, or your when you get together. You talk about different things, but so when you have a developer community, you talk about technical stuff because that's what you do day to day. A startup community would be pretty much the same, except it would be very focused on the startup things, like how to form companies and those kind of things, but also how to actually present your ideas in a startup community. So the basic foundation of a community is to share, right? So and if you share, you can get feedback, and a startup needs feedback, especially when you start out.
Absolutely.
So and that's the same thing. It's the same thing with developer communities. Basically, you share an idea, and then afterwards you talk about it. Basically, you ask questions. You say, okay, that looks cool, but what if you did like this? Would that work? Sort of. So it's pretty much basic, the same thing, just different topics. Basically. It
is the same thing.
So, yeah.
Awesome, great, thank you. Maybe we can now move a bit towards the questions. We have a lot of them coming here. I'm just going to read out a few questions. So Linda is really interested in knowing more about the book circle, John.
Yeah, so the book circle is named VXODev Book Circle, and VXODev is a local community for developers, and we piggybacked on their Slack channel and their name to be able to reach people. We meet every lunch on Thursdays between 12 and 1, and we decide together on the books that we should read, and we are very soon finished with the first book, which was an introduction to functional programming. And it looks like the next book will be a book about software architecture. The poll says so, at least for now.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Looks like it.
That sounds awesome. Book circles are always great. But how has Corona affected your communities? My question is both to Johan and John. Are you guys doing a lot of physical meetups, or is it virtual? How has that affected the vibe? It's a question for both of you.
So yeah. For us, I would say it's been positive. We actually started this spring, so it was in the middle of the pandemic, basically, when we got really going. So we simply just moved it online. So because you can have your presentations online. So sure, it would be fun to meet up physically, but online gives us a whole lot very different options, actually. So we have had presenters from Stockholm, I believe.
Yep.
And we're going to have one from Lund next week.
Yep.
So for that reason, it's been great.
Super.
Yeah,
I would say.
Super interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. John, do you think we're ever going to go back to the same life before Corona and everything's going to be per platform? the digital idea is going to linger on or develop into something new, more innovative?
I think the positive sides that we saw now, that it's so easy to ask someone in Stockholm or the distance doesn't matter. It's like, okay, we found a person that is interesting for that we want to present at the meetup, and then we can go ask, and it's super easy. So I think we will mix the presentations with some workshops or something that we interact more with each other physically, or like we meet in place and do something. But I think we will stick to the online events.
Right.
Too.
So it's going to be more of a hybrid. Hybrid seems to be emerging now.
Yeah.
Perfect. Do you think it's easier to create communities in small cities versus a big city, or is it the other way around? Johan, my question is to you. You've had experiences both big and small cities, so how is it?
I think it's easier in a big city, at least in the beginning. I think that, well, you can see it from different perspectives. You have to have different expectations, basically. If you started in a big city, you will probably get a lot of people coming to the events in the beginning and those kind of things. But you have to keep like the quality going for a long time. So other than that, the people would drop off. I think that the same goes for, you need to have a good quality of the speakers as well in a smaller city. But you cannot have the same expectation on the number of people, basically. But it doesn't. It will come. They will come eventually. So the people who are interested, they will find you eventually. So, and you have to do marketing, of course. So it's reach out to the people that you think that could be interested, and ask the people that just come, basically. So bring a friend next time. So it will be fun. So,
yeah, that's a very important point you touched there about networking. So one has to have a big network in order to get your point across, or to make people aware about your communities. Your experience been, John? Do you think it's easy to have communities in small cities?
If Vecua is a small city, I think yes. As long as you have a passion and you feel that I want to share this with more people. I want more people involved, and you see that at least 2 or 3 other people want to join. Then I think it's possible. But I think it's, if you have more people, then it's easier. But I think it's possible, doable. Yeah.
Absolutely. There are probably different strategies for different sizes of the city, and there's also there's also mood of every city, how trendy it is to have communities there, and how much, as a habit, like to go to a community, or are they loners, or do they like more socialization? So and then we're going to take another question. Developers interacting with each other. That sounds awkward.
We are interacting now, right?
Well, I think that's a misconception. We interact a lot during our day-to-day work, basically. So, the old image of the software developer being the guy in the basement, basically typing away on the keyboard. Those guys, they're pretty few, I would say. So what we do is that it's a very social engagement, actually, developing software. So you need to communicate with the rest of the team, the other guys in the team, and if you're in a big company, you probably have to go outside your team a lot of the time as well. So it's very much a coordination, communication game. So it's not just code, even if we would like it to be more code sometimes, but it's a lot of communication, discussions around those kind of things. So yeah, it has changed quite a bit.
Well, that's
but,
really,
software
really
ate
good
the
to know.
world. So
it's really good to know. Do people expect presentations in developers in startup communities, or is it more speaking?
Yeah, I guess in many cases.
Yeah, but you can shift it up also. You can do a lot of things with it. Only your imagination sets the limit, basically, in those kind of things. So the book circle, for example, is an excellent idea. We had something similar in Stockholm as well. So and people have book circles before, and you, instead of reading Jane Austen, you read Grokking Simplicity, for example, about functional programming and stuff. So, but the same discussion around the book is there. So that's one way of meeting other people, having those discussions. I think you can do something similar with startup communities, for example. It's just a different topic. So pick something that you're passionate about. Speak on that behalf, and present. If you want to do a presentation, do that. If you want to do a workshop, do that instead. So there's no limits. Only the imagination is the limit. Yeah.
Perfect. That's very well said. What type of development meetups do you run in Vecua, and what are the usual topics? Jonas would like to know. John, maybe if you could answer this.
Yep, we're doing. It's because me and Johan are interested in functional programming. So all of our topics are around functional programming, and it's been mostly presentations, as we have done them online. Yeah,
we should mention also that the VXO Dev is also a kind of a meetup as well. They started. They were one of the first, I think, developer startup meetups in Vecua. And when I saw that, I still lived in Stockholm, so it was like, this is great. If I ever move back, that would be awesome. So, and they were similar. The 3 guys who started it, so they wanted to share knowledge, basically. So that's what they wanted. So they're more holding the physical meetings, but the topic varies quite a bit in those aspects. I believe Soft House also holds some kind of meetup thing in Vecua. I have not seen any events lately, but it will probably come back again.
Yeah, so Vidium also had these Vidium code ups. They did that for a couple of years. Yeah.
How interesting. And the topics that you guys have, do you feel that more spontaneous topics or something that emerges within a meeting is more valid, or do you think it's better to have a pre-decided topic to come prepared with in a meetup?
I think you should have. I think you should have some preparation. That's my point. Then you could probably open up for questions, but have something central. Have a topic in mind when you have a presenter or someone who wants to show something. But then I think the community should be free to join in also want to share with the community as well. So and hopefully we can encourage more of our members to do presentations in the near future as well. We hopefully so. But some are shy, so it will take some time to persuade them.
Yeah.
Do you have what do you say, John? Do you agree, or you have?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you want to focus on something, and it doesn't need to be planned everything for the evening, but as long as it has some kind of red line, I guess it's easier at least.
Yeah, maybe a broader topic, and then the details and kind of emerge in what direction it takes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, John, that you have put a link. I see that you've put a link in the chat for the book circle as well. So I guess most of the questions about the book circle you've answered in the chat. What are some good places to hold community meetups in Vecua? There's a question from our audience.
Yeah, I think that some of the company is willing to host if you ask them. Fort Knox is Fort Knox is a good place if you have some connection at Fort Knox, or if you want Fort Knox to host something, just ask me or Johan. We are happy to host, and I guess it's the same for all of the companies, because all of the companies needs developers, and they want to get in touch.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, you guys are the heroes.
It's a huge demand for developers, so we are in a good position.
Yeah, there will not be a lack of work for sure.
No.
Yeah.
So, but and that's a good point actually. Hosting the events. So if you have a small company, offer the space basically to host the events, because then you can negotiate with the guys holding the meetup, for example, have a small presentation, actually present your company and what you're doing in the beginning. So that was very common in Stockholm during the events I went to there. So here's an opportunity for companies in Vecua to actually show themselves. This is what we're doing, and not just post a job ad on Arbetsförmedlingen, because it will. It's like
true that.
And Företagsfabriken, for example, could host events around startup communities, for example. So why not? Or a developer community for that reason as well. So just so if you have one of those companies, just reach out.
Yeah,
we will have
perfect. So there's a message for the audience here. Just out, and they'll be happy. Now I come to my favorite question, which I love asking all my guests. How do you think you guys can, or how can more women be encouraged in the business world? John, if you would like to start a bit.
I think we need to create good role models, I guess. I don't know how to make it, but I would love to see it happen. Yeah.
The role models is a very spot on. The more role models you have, the more people would want to show up. What do you think, Johan?
Yeah, I think role model is a very good point. Also, we need to shift our mindset a bit. I would say we need to be more open-minded as well, and mindful of how we act and how we say, because what we say is usually something comes out when we least expect it. Sometimes, especially if you grow up in, I'm close to, well, if you grew up in the 70s, you spoke in a different way. So you grew up with those kind of languages. So be mindful of your language a bit, I would say, because, and also encourage each other in a different way. It is, I've been in the software industry for a long time, and even I do mistakes sometimes. So it's okay to be wrong. Just ask questions but encourage each other. Be mentors to one another, basically. I would say those, and this is very important in the community space as well, because the communities can encourage this by being open-minded. Openness is super important. Be inclusive. And no matter what, basically, because on the other side, the person opposite you is a person.
Yeah.
So be mindful of your language and how you act, basically. So but mostly encourage each other. So combine that with a role model and the mentorship.
Yes. Mentorship,
super
role models, encouragement, being mindful, all of these things are definitely more encouraging for women to become more into into the business world. So the last thing I'd like to ask both of you is some advice that you'd like to give to young entrepreneurs and to our audience here today who'd like to learn from your journey. What, if you had to give maybe the most important thing that you had to give away today from your journey, what would that be? We can start with you, Johan.
So I think that the most important thing is to not be afraid to try, basically. So I started my career as a teacher, basically, and then I went to software development, and then I went to being an entrepreneur, basically. So your path will change over time, but do not be afraid to try, because that's the only thing that you can regret is not trying.
Very well said. John, what do you think?
Yeah, the same as Johan. You I think you always have a feeling in your stomach that what you want to do and what you're passionate about, and of course it will be hard times and you will struggle, but just trust yourself, trust that feeling, and just go. Don't let yourself down.
Yeah, just go for it, and that's very well said. Don't let yourself
have fun
down. And have fun on the way. Exactly. That's probably the most important part. Have fun on the journey.
Don't be afraid of bruises or two. So
and people are often very helpful. Just reach out and ask for help. It's that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah, and that is where the communities come in most handy, is for you to take your bruises to the community and then get feedback and then move on from there. So I think that's a brilliant work that both of you are doing in terms of making communities, building them, developing them. That's awesome work. And I am super thankful for both of you to take out the time to be here with us and questions and share your journey with us. So that's very thankful for that. We have some more questions here, but we're running out of time. You guys can, in the audience, you can email to Johan or John, or you can email them to me, or you guys can. Thank you for being here today, and have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.